do is to know the true nature of the soul. If we know the true nature of the soul, then we can see how it gains its excellence and how it loses it. So, in order to know the true nature of the soul, it must be free of the body. All right? It must be considered in the light of reason. And when the soul is purified, then it's seen, in terms of what Plato and where he's going, will be seen to be the most beautiful thing, or more beautiful than anything else. It's only then that we can see clearly the distinction between justice and injustice. This is how he concludes his book. This is how he concludes the whole dialogue. So our whole goal then is to know the nature of the true nature of the soul. In what way does he mean it must be free of the body? In what way must be considered in the light of reason? In what way must it be purified? In what way can he say it's beautiful? And on the basis of that, it looks like we're then able to make a perception to see the nature of justice and injustice and see the distinction between them. One more piece. Now, what happens when the soul is purified? When the soul is purified, the soul's love of wisdom is seen. This won't work as a marker. Okay. When the soul is purified, the soul's love of wisdom is seen. And when one sees as a consequence, it is akin to the divine and to the immortal. And then it knows eternal being. Then, 1, 2, 3, then, just like before, then we can see whether the soul's nature is manifold, single in its simplicity, and then we'll discover the truths about it. Now, how is he going to then tell us how wisdom is grasped, how you can see that it's akin to the divine, why he says it's immortal and knows eternal being? Those are the arts we're going to explore. All right? That's our goal. That's where we're going.
Would you repeat that?
It's right here. To achieve these goals, we need the arts.
And then we'll see that the soul is akin to the divine.
That's right.
Seeing is
this is the key part. We're going to go back to it, all right? Then you'll be able to see whether the soul's nature is manifold or single, one or many, and in its simplicity, then it can grasp the nature of truth about it. So we need to know, then, these three things. How do you get it? Now we're starting the arts. These are the studies of the philosopher king. First, he says that the ascension to reality, ultimate reality, is true philosophy. And the real goal is to see how we can be led upwards to the light, in this beautiful example here, as some are fabled to have ascended from Hades to heaven. Now, what kind of a journey is that, the ascension to true reality? It's a conversion. It's a conversion that turns the soul around from the world of becoming to the world of being. Now, we're going to say quite a bit about this word being, but I want to wait for a few minutes so we can get into it a little more before I do that. All right. Okay, that's our goal. What is it? We must be led upward, all right, to the light, as some are fabled to have ascended from Hades to heaven itself. What is it? It's a conversion, turning the soul around. Now, this is what is normally called the arts. Arithmetic, geometry, solid geometry, astronomy, harmony, their kinship and dialectic. Now I'm going to ask you to do something with me. We're going to look at each one of these, and when we do it, I'm going to ask you whether or not the description that is given defines in any way that you're familiar with these subjects. Let me do you. as we go through this, I'm going to ask you whether the description that Plato gives for each one of these subjects is to be taken literally, and therefore he really means arithmetic, or whether he means it to be taken analogically, since the whole thing is an analogy. You have to determine this with me as we pursue it. If you pursue it and see that it is not literal, but analogical, that's the double meaning, and that's where we're going. All right? Now, it's the last time you'll see these names. Now, I'd like to ask you something for a couple of minutes. Would you agree that if I have a series of things called numbers, whether you'll go along with me, and I'm going to write their symbol, there can be other ways to symbolize it. They have a name. Each one of these is rather curious. And let me see if I can get you the curiosity. Would you agree that what we mean by each of these, when we call them each, what we mean, do we not, that there is a certain amount in each of these. And when we talk about them, we take it as a unity, don't we? So if I say 2, you know I mean 1, 2, that has 2 of these, and each of these is exactly the same, equal, always, never deviating, and there must be some way in keeping them together, because we don't mean by 2 that unity, do we? It must be, therefore, determined that that unity keeps its particular elements together. Now, if I look at this chair, would you agree, right? I'm looking at it as a unity, but it has a number of parts which can be easily identified. So therefore it's as a unity, it too has its parts, but it's not its parts. It's only when that unity persists that we talk about it as a chair. Because you take the parts apart, you lost the chair. It's only the unity that gives us the thing. In the same way, a tree, right? It's a tree, but it's made up of all of these elements. The elements can be separated and it's no longer a tree. It's not, the thing is not the elements. The thing must be the unity of its elements that transforms it into one tree. So would you not agree everything in this room that you can distinguish is a one? But on the other hand, it's a many. Agree? It's a one and it's many. Simultaneously, is it not? We can talk about it one way or the other, can we not?